Hello, everybody. It's Stephanie, and I got to go to church today, so I'm very excited and full of joy to pour out on you guys. First of all, I got to put on two impromptu banner classes with the kids. First, because Melinda gets there early. She's my ride. Thank you, Melinda. And so she got me there like 40 minutes early, so I got to pray through the church using banners through each of the seats that I like to do if I am there early. And so a bunch of kids came up and wanted to do banners with me for the first service when I was doing that part. So I let them, and then like 5 or 6 kids came up after the second service and we're wanting to do the banners. So two classes, impromptu classes I put on. So that leads me to let you guys know that Brooke, the person who's going to be finding out the people on staff to find out if I can put on a banner class. I think I asked her like 6 months ago or so, but finally she's gonna talk to the children's person, the lady who works with the kids, who's in charge of the kids ministry, to find out if I can do that. But I told her I have like 6 kids that are definitely interested, and probably more, because these are just the ones that have come up while I was doing the banners during service. And one of the kids was like, "Can we like keep our own banner?" And I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea because they can practice at home." So, and then one of the other kids was like, "Can we put on a performance?" So they already are so excited. So anyway, but Brooke, I should hear back in like 2 weeks because Brooke is talking to the lady in charge of children's ministry next week. So you guys can pray with me and for me that there would be a yes in their spirit, and I can put on this banner class finally. But God keeps giving me these impromptu ones. So, all right. So that's exciting. Okay. All right. Now we're still talking about the thin red line. Oh yeah, and the song. So I was so focused on the kids coming up to worship with me, I wasn't even paying attention to the songs during the service. So I can't even remember the name of the song I wanted to do during service. So I'm gonna do Shelter again. That's the one I did a couple weeks ago that they sang at church. So, yeah, normally I pick one that they sing during the service, but whatever, you guys still get a worship song. Okay, so the sermon series is still a thin red line that is talking about men, and so it's about are you ready to become who you were made to be? And this is especially regarding the men. Um, there were okay. So what is a good man? Yeah, that is what we're after. So men. So the pastor wanted to do this sermon about the men, directed to the men, because most of the time when men are getting good ministry and discovering who they really are, then they can hold on, they can become better husbands and sons and all of that, fathers. So that's why we're focusing right now on men, or I should say my pastor. So and they did a little snippet from the movie, hold on, the guy with the knife, that's not a knife, Crocodile Dundee, and so it was just, they did that clip of when the guy comes up and he's like, give me your wallet. And the lady with him is like, don't do it, Mick. Give him your wallet. And he's like, that's not a knife. That's a knife. So if you haven't seen it, it's hysterical. But basically, the pastor was talking about how he has had, he's had lots of knife in his day. Like, he's like a knife collector, and so just talking about how, and he held up one that his dad had given him before he passed away. It was really precious to him. So it's like a dull knife. If nobody wants a dull knife or impotent knife, because when the time comes when you're gonna need it for something, you're either gonna be like dead or just not in a good place. So that's kind of what the masculinity that we're talking is about. That a lot of men have that dull, impotent life, but that if we can sharpen the knife and make it designed for what it was men were created for, then that's better. So talking about toxic masculinity, I mentioned the last time, but that dull knife is kind of an example of that. All right. Let's see. Can't read my writing on it. And talked about in Genesis when the first first chapter, verse 1, that talks about how God brought Adam into the world and was like, you need to rule over this, and so, but that it wasn't good for him to be alone. So he brought Eve, and basically was like, you guys are the rulers, and so they had to name the animals and that, but Adam was supposed to be there next to her side, Eve's side, and didn't do what he was supposed to do. Why was she alone? For the serpent to come. So that's what the pastor said. I never thought about it that way. So he should have been right there by her side and not let Eve be tempted, by herself or whatever. So, yes. And God has entrusted us to rule the world, or rule with God. That's what it meant. Not being a tyrant, like he mentioned, like if there's like a 3-year-old boy that throws a fit, that's normal, that's just being a kid. But if it's a 30-year-old boy, and 30-year-old man and throws a fit, then it's like being a tyrant. So don't, yes, okay. Oh, he mentioned Lion King, that song, I just can't wait to be king, and how it's like, everyone do that, basically like ordering them around. That's what he thinks being the king is, and that's part of the tyranny too. So that Simba definitely had it wrong. Okay. Oh yeah, and there was some clip that was a passage that Greg read, and I don't remember the whole thing, but he's like, basically, what do they determine about God when they see me? That's a good question for us to ask ourselves, especially the men. And there's like, they showed this a clip of the movie clip of these, I don't know what movie it was from, but it had Danny DeVito, and he's like a dad, and I think an EMT or something, or fireman, and was just like, had this really inappropriate language, and then the next guy's dad comes up, and he's totally passive, and like his job's like not interesting, and then he ends up anyway. So basically, like, two places, postures we can be in as either passive or a poser, and neither of those help. But I think a lot of men get into either one of those, and so we need courage to speak the truth, and that's how the men can become good men. That courage comes from God, though. So, all right, that's all my notes. All right, so time for the devotional. We're almost done with chapter 10. Love heals through the act of forgiving. So, right, we'll read this and then the poem. Learning the act. Oh, sorry. So we're okay. Learning the art of forgiveness is a daily practice. Like other means of healing, love, we've talked about in this book. Like anything else, we become better at forgiving as we devote ourselves to it intentionally. Forgiveness is something we need to practice. We need to practice it in the woods, in prison, in church, at work, or at home. If we can't forgive, we must practice harder or change the practice of our faith. Faith is rooted in God's forgiveness and in our ability to forgive each other and ourselves. That is the way we will find the keys to the kingdom. Today, give a few of these a try as you work on to forgive yourself and others. Number 1, decide one thing you need to forgive. Pray for that thing or person that holds you in bondage. Take a practical step that will keep you to forgive Take a practical step that will help you to forgive, such as writing a letter or setting up a time to talk to a pastor or counselor. 4, imagine what it might be like to have forgiven that person or thing. 5, picture what amends or atoning might look like if you feel forgiven. For you to feel forgiven or to forgive. 6, pray again for the obstacle holding you back from forgiving yourself or others. 7, start again the next day. Then practice these 7 steps 70 more times. Okay, that's the end of chapter 10. I look forward to starting chapter 11. Okay, and the poem is titled The Magic of Love. Love is like magic, and it always will be, for love still remains life's sweet mystery. Love works in ways that are wondrous and strange, and there's nothing in life that love cannot change. Love can transform the most commonplace into beauty and splendor, and sweetness and grace. Love is unselfish, understanding, and kind, for it sees with its heart and not with its mind. Love is the answer that everyone seeks. Love is a language that every heart speaks. Love can't be bought. It's priceless and free. Love, like pure magic, is a sweet mystery. Okay, you guys, now time to pray. And I'm going to pray for the men again because we're still talking about this. So, oh, Father, thank you so much for my subscribers, especially the men that are watching this video right now. And I ask that they would know that they don't have to live in a life of being a poser or passive, Lord, but just with leaning on you, they can experience courage to be the men and the fathers that you are calling them to be. Amen. Right, you guys are all caught up. Have great weeks, blessed weeks, and I will talk when I have more to say.